welcome to the Boardroom. Today you join us for a very special episode here at the beautiful Corinthia Palace as part of our Ambassador series, where we speak to different ambassadors to Malta. Today we welcome the Spanish ambassador to Malta, María Consuelo Femenía. She joins us today on the Boardroom. Ambassador, we are very happy to have you with us. So first of all, before we really dive into our conversation today, could you tell us a little bit about your relationship with Malta?
Well, what can I say? I've been here ambassador now for 2 years. It's a fantastic destination. It reminds me a lot of my own hometown, because I was born in the Mediterranean, in the area of Valencia and Alicante. So many things here in Malta remind me of my own landscape, the beauty of the sea, the transparency of the waters, but also sometimes as well the customs and the habits. Like, for instance, the festas, the fact that you like very much the firework. This is totally exactly the same that we have in Valencia and Alicante, in that region. So every municipality, for instance, celebrates, especially during the summer, the patron saint festivities with their band and with a lot of fireworks going involved. So it's very, I would say, I feel very much at home.
Oh, well, that's lovely to hear. And of course, we're very happy to have you here in Malta. Ambassador, the past few months have been a challenge, haven't they? Obviously, Spain was very much in the news, especially at the start of the coronavirus crisis. Could you take us back to the start of that and how things developed, and also how you handled things from the mission here in Malta?
Mm-hmm. Well, it was indeed very critical weeks during the month of March, I would say, mainly concentrated in the month of March. As you know, we have a decentralized system where on one side you have the central government, but also the regional governments have competences and power on the health system. So sometimes it takes a little bit of coordination. Spain was affected seriously, and at a certain point in time, obviously, we had a very dramatic peak of deaths. The situation was handled very quickly, and as you know, Spain went through one of the strongest lockdowns for many weeks. So the whole country was under lockdown, no schools, no shops, no activities, and the people had to stay at home. This brought our peak very dramatically, and also very, I would say, vertically down. But obviously, once the economy has to be reignited and things have to restart, and a little bit of traveling and a little bit of contact between families, and bars and restaurants are reopening, obviously, and this is predictable. This was predictable and is predictable. We are having a little bit of increase of cases. Again, at the beginning it was the central government, because of the emergency situation, who was ruling. At this point in time, and during the summer, we expect to have the regional governments to take the necessary decisions, and they are taking them, because instead of having measures that will affect all the country, now it's going to be much more localized. So whether a province or a region or a municipality needs to be locked down, it's happening, but the rest of the country can continue its activity. And it has to be said that in many areas the impact of the pandemics were very low. We also have islands, two archipelagos in the Balearic and the Canary Islands. The impact of the coronavirus in the islands is very low, and also in other regions like Andalusia, Valencia and Alicante, the situation was quiet. So mainly the problem was in the big cities, Madrid and Barcelona. Barcelona continues to be a little bit of a problem, but in any case, anyone wishing to travel to Spain, they can rely, it's a safe travel. Obviously, some precautions need to be taken, such as your mask, washing hands, etc. But everyone, I mean, any destination in Spain is considered safe.
Well, that's great to know. And how did your embassy have to evolve during the coronavirus crisis? Was there a lot of movement between Spanish people wanting to get back to Spain who were previously based in Malta?
Yes, that happened, because what we discovered by the end of February or beginning of March is that obviously, since it's so easy to travel, especially with the low-cost companies and the direct flights that we are enjoying between the two countries now, we discovered that we had a lot of people here, a lot of tourists. And some of them were, I would say, groups of certain vulnerability, in the sense that when the Maltese government decided to stop and to close the airport with Spain, for instance, we had from morning to night, we discovered that we had 5 groups of students, non-adults here in Malta, or several groups, but one of them was very large, of elderly. For them, it was difficult to go back by their own means, because it's not like a couple or not like a group of young people who can find a connection via internet. Those groups were larger, and also, as I say, some of them with children or with elderly. So it was very useful that the government of Malta helped solve that decision and organized for us, for all embassies, including the Spanish embassy, several planes in order to repatriate those tourists. We did that in 1 week. We had 3 planes. We repatriated more than between 500 and 600 tourists, and obviously that calmed down a lot of the parents or even the children of those who were stuck here with the terror or the panic of not knowing how to go back, because being an island makes it more difficult. They could not catch a bus or a train, so it had to be the plane.
Absolutely. And let's shift focus a little bit now to talk about the trade between our two countries. What is the basis of the majority of business that happens between Malta and Spain?
We have certain companies here in Malta that are Spanish originated, but that nowadays are so much into the Maltese society that are Spanish Maltese. We also have a chamber of commerce that is Spanish Maltese and tries to foster and promote bilateral relation. In any case, in the latest years, in the last years, we have experienced a growing increase in import-export. This involves areas such as food, wines, vegetables, fruits, textiles, construction materials, and many other sectors, decoration, furniture, and many other sectors that little by little are diversifying and increasing the bilateral exchange. Another important feature of our bilateral relations is tourism, because Spain was one of the countries with a higher increase in terms of percentage of increase that was detected both by the airport of Malta and the Maltese tourism authorities. So in 2019, which are the latest data that we have at the moment, we had almost 100,000 tourists from Spain coming to Malta, which is a lot.
It is a lot.
Which is a lot.
Certainly. And do you expect that those numbers are going to be reached again in the future? Do you think that Spanish people enjoy coming to Malta on holiday?
Yes, I think Malta is like a discovery for Spaniards. We obviously have also Mediterranean destinations like the Balearic Islands, like Valencia and Alicante, like the Costa Brava in Catalonia. But I would say that Spaniards never get tired of the Mediterranean. So Malta, Greece, Tunisia, Turkey, Croatia, they are there. And Malta was, I would say, one of these destinations that has been discovered thanks to the possibility of having direct flights. This is very important because together with cruises and the fact that they would stop in Valletta, that was a reason to discover Malta, but the fact that you can now enjoy maybe for a short visit, an extended weekend, a long stay if you wish, or even, as I mentioned, the studies of English here in Malta for the younger ones, the teenagers or the younger adults, that is creating little by little a wave of discovery of Malta within the Spanish society. So we are experiencing, and I hope that when we can come back to our normal life after the coronavirus, the exchange of tourism will continue. It is true that also Maltese are discovering Spain thanks to these flights, and the fact that there are flights to Andalusia is helping Maltese discover Seville, is helping Maltese discover Valencia, together with the usual destinations in Madrid and Barcelona that are better known by the Maltese. But there's a lot to discover, Toledo. So the fact that we have these direct flights, I think, will continue helping us meet each other. And when it comes to products, when it comes to goods, I think that the Maltese business society has understood that going to fairs in Spain, going to find providers in Spain, sometimes is a good option in the sense that you would have good quality at a better price. Compared with other markets that maybe are the natural resource for Maltese, such as, for instance, Italy. So we have a lot of industry that is well priced at a good quality, and therefore very competitive for all these import-export exercises.
Certainly. And as we sort of look to the future of the trade that could be taking place between Malta and Spain, we have a lot of viewers who are interested in potential opportunities. What do you see as the future interesting markets for Spain where perhaps Malta could start to set an example or work with Spain?
Well, I think that Spanish investors need to discover better Malta. For instance, it's very we have a sector of hotels and restoration that is very strong. Our companies of hotels are all over the world, and unfortunately we don't have that here in Malta. So probably we would need some sectors to be better taken care of. We are in the sector of transportation, we have been in construction, insurances, energy. There are many sectors, for instance, in the area of green energy that will open a lot of opportunities, digitalization, taking into account the new agenda settled by the European Union and the fact that there will be funds to be allocated to the countries in order to change their patterns of economic growth, in order to be more carbon neutral and in order to be more digital. There are many sectors of the, I would say, traditional economy and the new economy towards which the European Union wants to walk, where we can help each other.
Absolutely. And speaking about the European Union, obviously big opportunities there, but also some challenges facing the EU. What roles do you see Spain and Malta sharing as we move forward the European project?
I think we are very good partners. We are Southern Mediterranean partners with a lot of complicity, in the good sense of the word, a lot of like-mindedness in many areas. everything that has to do, for instance, with migration, or everything that has to do, for instance, with the stability of the Mediterranean region involves us both in the same way. Spain, as you know, is managing a flow of migration that comes through the Gibraltar Strait or goes to the Balearic Islands or the Canary Islands in the Atlantic. So we are very much exposed to migration coming from different countries and points of origin in Africa. Even in the Guinea Gulf, sometimes the little boats are coming towards the Canary Islands to find Spanish territory in there. So for us, we understand clearly what are the challenges and what are the risks for security and the stress for the economy and the stress for the society that migration poses. We are together in the necessity of finding a solution in the European Union that would be more based in solidarity and a shared responsibility, in a way which means that all countries in the Mediterranean region, because if you stop one route, then the other routes will increase. It's like a phenomenon that they will find their way through other routes of the Mediterranean. So all the countries in the Mediterranean, we have to find a solution that will be for all the Mediterranean and that would convince countries in the European Union that this is an issue of managing those trends in a regular manner, ordered manner, because also Europe is in need of this manpower and these workers that are arriving in order to keep up our societies and our development. So we have to be together, for instance, in migration. We can be together in everything that has to do with the southern neighborhood of the European Union and enhancing the relations between the European Union and the north of Africa. We are together in many other issues of foreign affairs, and we have very good relations from the point of view, for instance, of cultural and historical ties. So there is a lot that can be done in the future.
So as we look to the future, obviously post-COVID recovery, the future of the EU, what do you see as the future for the relationship between Malta and Spain?
Well, obviously this relation is bidimensional, or it has two dimensions. One is that we are partners in the European Union, and then the second one is that we are neighbors. Because even if we do not share land frontier, as a matter of fact, we share sea frontier. So we are very close neighbors. In the European Union, I think that it would be desirable to have more contacts between the two governments and administrations in order to prepare better for the European councils, be it the European Council of Prime Ministers or the sectorial councils. Health, it's becoming very important, everything that has to do with the reinforcement of our health security, for instance, in the European Union, that we discovered it's not sufficient. It's not, I mean, one of the questions that, for instance, the coronavirus aroused is that we had to have national responses, sometimes a little bit not coordinated with others, and every country responded in its own way and with its own speed or calendar, because we didn't have, when it comes to materials, when it comes to vaccines, when it comes to all in all the medical response, we didn't have that pillar in the European Union. So everything that has to do with the European Union agenda, for instance, more towards digital, more towards a greener economy, an economy based in innovation and research, there we could have a lot of things happening. On the bilateral, perhaps I would like to point out two areas together with the natural recovery of tourism and the bilateral commerce that we were speaking before. These two areas would be, and perhaps those are the areas where we can work stronger in the future, a more, I would say, fluid contact or agenda of political contacts between the two countries. Ministers coming and going, visits which have been happening, and our ministers see each other always in Brussels, but I think it's important to also have the bilateral visit and ministers going to Spain, visiting our infrastructure or having talks at the political level, and vice versa, having ministers visit here. So one of the areas where in the future I think it's necessary to work is the political contacts. And in the area of culture and in the area of education, the growth of Spanish is very important in Malta. It's one of the growest languages in terms of students being interested in foreign language. Spanish opens not only the possibility, as you can understand, of going to Spain, but a whole continent in Latin America, and even in the United States of America is the second most used language. So Spanish is a good option. Maltese students are interested, and also at the level of the universities, we are starting to see very good cooperation between Spanish and Maltese universities in order to create campuses, European campuses. So everything that has to do with exchange at the university level and studies of Spanish as foreign languages is also an area of interest, I think, in the bilateral relation.
Well, that's wonderful, and wonderful to hear about all the opportunities that we hope are open between Malta and Spain, and of course we look forward to the ongoing recovery from the corona crisis. Ambassador, thank you so much for being with me today on The Boardroom.
Thank you very much. Thank you.